Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new here. My name is Jen. This is Bookmark by Jen. And guess what? We're here to talk about some books today. Yes, we are here to talk about some books. I realized that I just uploaded a recent reads, but to be quite honest with you, those recent reads were from April. These books are, well, I have one that I read at the end of April, and then the rest were in the month of May, so they are more recent. I just didn't get to editing that last video as quickly as I had hoped, but that's okay because here are some more books, maybe some book recommendations, maybe something that piques your interest. Let's just get into it. All right, so the first book that we're going to talk about today is one that was one of my most anticipated books of the year, and that is Taming 7 by Chloe Walsh. Gibbsy stole my heart in Binding and Keeping 13. He just was like my spirit animal. I absolutely loved him. I wanted more from him, and I'm gonna tell you, I love Chloe Walsh. I love her writing, but this didn't quite hit the mark for me, and I'm a little disappointed in it. Of course, I loved being back in this world. I loved seeing the characters I love so much and being grounded in that world again. However, I knew that we were going to see a different side of Gibbsy, and I was very much excited for that, anticipation of that, to see a different side of just the funny Gibbsy that we know, like who is Gerard. I enjoyed seeing a different side of him, but it y'all, I had problems with it. It just, the Gerard, the Gibbsy, the Claire even that we see in the first four books, I don't feel like that's who we got. I feel like those were two different characters than what we've seen previously from those books, and that broke my heart just a little bit. I also feel like, was this Gibbsy and Claire's book, or was it Lizzie's book? Because I feel like she got a little bit too much attention in this book. And honestly, I love me a redemption arc, but I'm really scared to read anything with her in it because that chick, she needs a little bit more than a swift kick in the ass. Like, I don't know. So this, I'm so sad to say that this really, it fell short for me. I loved parts of it. I still laughed. It still made me tear up, but I just feel like there was so much lacking from this. I'm a little disappointed. However, I still gave it a 4 stars. There were reasons why I gave that a 4 stars, and I'm sticking to my 4 stars. No spice. I mean, honestly, the spice is a little bit laughable. So there you go. I still love my boy Gibbsy. I am still happy that I read it. It's just, it didn't hit like the first 4 books, right? Okay, there you go. I'm done. Let's move on. My next book is The Truth About Tomorrow by B. Celeste. This is book number 2. The first book is The Truth About Heartbreak, and I do feel like I want to recommend reading that before you go into The Truth About Tomorrow, although you don't have to. They are 2 standalone books, but to understand the dynamic and understand the world, I think it is probably best if you read the first book, because we also do meet our 2 characters in that first book as well. But The Truth About Tomorrow, it follows Charlie and Ollie. Ollie is Charlie's adoptive uncle. So Charlie is adopted into the family, and Ollie is her adoptive uncle. So there is no blood relation there. There is a 15-year age gap, but when they do meet, Charlie is, I feel like she's like 12 or 13, so she is significantly younger, but there is almost this instant connection between these two that really grows into a bond, a friendship. It is a very strong connection. Charlie has been previously in a household where she grew up. It was not good. So we have that to contend with. We have her demons from her past that she has to completely deal with now that she is in a safe environment. She's not in foster care anymore. She's been adopted into a loving family, and even though she has 2 great adoptive parents, Charlie almost acts as that best friend, that person that allows her to be herself, to truly allows her to be herself. So that's where you see that connection come in. But however, when we do have such a big age gap, and it starts out when one of our characters is really young, there is a time frame that needs to happen so that we don't get that complete ick feeling. And that does happen, but it happens sooner than um, most books that go along these lines happen, if that makes sense. So there's like another trigger warning there for you. Yeah, look that up or message me. I'll give you the deets if you need it. These two together, they're both battling something, but they're both battling different things. And I think that the way that they come together and the way that they help each other, the way that their bond is, I thought that was truly beautiful. I also think that I enjoyed this one more than I did the first one. There was more depth. I felt like I really enjoyed this book. I was hesitant to read it after I read The Truth About Heartbreak, especially when I realized who the next characters are going to be, and I was like, how is she going to work that? But I think that she did a very good job. I gave this one a 4 stars. I think I gave it a 3 stars out of spice. Definitely would recommend it, but again, read the first one before you read this one. And that brings me to the next book that I read, which is actually a spin-off of this one. It is a novella to this one, which is The Truth About Us. So we're still following Ollie and Charlie, but I mean, it's not a spoiler, it's about them, so obviously we know that they get together, you just don't know how, but this is about them, and now they have a child in this one. Honestly, I kind of wish that I wouldn't have read this. I don't think that you need to read it. It is just if you want to continue to be in that world, there you go. But there was no reason to read this book unless you want to see them with a child. But I felt like the strides that they had made in The Truth About Tomorrow, I kind of felt like we were taking a step back in The Truth About Us. A couple different areas, and honestly, I was kind of like, meh. I mean, the child is super adorbs and has a disability, so there is that for them to kind of navigate. But overall, it was for me. I ended up giving this one a 3.5 stars. Next up, I've got All My Love by Daisy Jane. I don't know how this is my first Daisy Jane novel. I kind of wanted to check out her backlist almost immediately, but let's just talk about All My Love. This follows Hudson and Dahlia, or Dolly, and y'all, Dolly will bitch me crazy. Like, she's unhinged. What I loved about this was, so we love our possessive heroes, our over-the-top heroes, our alcohols. Well, that's Dolly. It's not the male, but the female. She is the stalker-ish type. She is the possessive heroine. She is the over-the-top alpha. And like, it was just, it's not a comedic book by any means, but like, I had to laugh because she's crazy, but in the best possible way. Like, I absolutely loved it. And what I loved the most is that, yeah, she's all of those things that I mentioned, but it comes from a place of pure love. I know that sounds psychotic. I know how that sounds in my head, but I'm being serious. It comes from a place of pure love. Even with Hudson has a young boy, so we got a hot man, we got a hot daddy. His little boy Bear, Dolly bonds with him, and it's purely separate from her possessiveness of Hudson. It is just a genuine relationship where she would never do anything to harm Bear. She would never do anything that would put her relationship with him in jeopardy of her relationship with Hudson. Completely separate. And so she knew that, you are my soulmate, and that's just what it's gonna be. I'll wait if I have to wait, but we just gonna be together. This is the first book in a series. I believe that we will have, it might be a trilogy, maybe more, but we will at least get the books from her sisters, because Dolly has 2 sisters, and again, like, I need to know more about this family because I love these girls. So they live on their own. Their father passed, who was taking care of them. They live in a small town. They live on a farm, and Dolly is the youngest. Her older sister took over raising her and her other sister when her father passed, and then Hudson moves in next door, and that is it for Dolly. It is, we're gonna be together. And I'm gonna wait for you because I'm a little young, but I'll wait. I'll wait. And in the meantime, while I wait, I'm going to, sneak around your house and look through your stuff, roll around in your bed, and y'all, I loved it. I mean, it's just, this is how you write an unhinged woman, because it was fantastic. This I gave 5 stars to. I gave 4 stars as Spice, because when they do get together, there's some crazy kinks that just sprout out of nowhere. So, well, just check your trigger warnings. But this was fun. It was fun. Like, it was just it was fun. I definitely recommend this one. Next up, I have Touch in the Dark by Chris Riley. This is the second book in the Breakneck series, which is a Rockstar romance series. The first book, Sky Full of Stars, was actually in my Rockstar romance recommendations. I'll leave it in the card down below for you. This was one of my favorites out of that recommendation, and I needed to know what was happening with Breakneck. This is, like I said, the second book. This follows Nick, who is in Breakneck, and Elsa, who is friends with Jenna from the first book. We do meet them in the first book. I will say this, I definitely liked Adam and Jenna's story a little bit more than Nick and Elsa's from the first one, but I liked being back in this world. So we meet them in the first one, like I said. Nick and Elsa previously dated, and some shit happened in the first one, and they broke up, and now we are after that. And Elsa's heart is still broken from the breakup, and Nick is dealing with some stuff, and it's their story of coming back to each other and trying, but really not succeeding in fighting this chemistry that they have. The thing with this book is their romance, I liked it. Their sexy times, I really enjoyed that. But there was a sub story, and I feel like it wasn't completed for me. And I don't know how they would complete it later on, because this is Nick's story and it was Nick's subplot. So maybe it would be in another part of the story, but it didn't feel completed. It felt like it was kind of thrown in there, and then we had to clear it up really quick, and I just feel like we didn't get enough of that. I also felt like Nick and Elsa's story was just getting started when the book ended. So I kind of feel, I don't know, there's just, when you just would like a little bit more or need a little bit more information and you just don't have it because the book's done. That's kind of how I felt. But I really, really enjoy this group of characters, and I cannot wait for more of the band and more of the girls, because they're just really fun girls. Like, they've got their shit together. They're strong. They're independent, but they want love, and I love that. Therefore, I gave this a 4 stars. I gave it a, I don't know, I can't remember, 2 or 3 stars for Spice. Okay, next up I have, oh, great. So we're ending on this note. Okay. I thought I had one more book after this. No, this is my last book. Okay, my apologies. So, my next book is actually the buddy read for, what month are we in? May. And that is The Fabric of Our Souls by K.M. Mornova. This is a dark romance that centers around really a mental hospital and some other stuff. So this follows Liam and Win. And I mean, honestly, like, I really don't need to talk about this too much because we talked about it over on the live show, but I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. I will say this, though, I did give it a higher rating than the girls, I believe. And I think I was just being, like, generous. I just finished this book, and I was being generous. I also will say this. I listened to this book and did a little bit of reading. I feel like the audio of this book helped me in finishing this book, because when I was reading it on my Kindle, I would, like, daze off or start thinking about other things, or I would even doze off. Like, it just wasn't capturing my attention. But on Audible, I was able to, zoom up the time, and it was just more palatable for me. So I think that helped me to finish the book. However, this book it just wasn't for me. Like, it completely felt short in a lot of different ways because it was all over the place. I thought this was supposed to be a dark romance, but then there's like this mystery aspect to it, and then there's like a 90s horror genre film masked man in it, and it's I don't know. Like, I kept thinking of, so I don't know if I mentioned this, but it's set in a mental hospital for people who have mental issues. Clearly, Jennifer, that is what a mental hospital is for. Um, but an array of issues. We have people who don't want to live, people who self harm, people who have tried to unalive themselves, don't want to live. Like, they're people who just have issues and need help, which is why you go to a mental hospital. But this mental hospital, it kept saying that it was unconventional. Um, I think that was just the author's way of being able to say, like, it's a free for all. Have fun, do what you want, have orgies in the bathroom, and take nightly walks, even though you just try to unalive yourself. But sure, be able to lock your bedroom and also have cohabitating rooms. It just, well, it just didn't do it for me. So I honestly couldn't tell you what this book was about, really. I don't recommend it. I gave it a 3 stars, but like I said, I was being generous. It's more of a 2 for me. But I'm going to stick with my rating. I gave it a 3 stars. I don't know what I would give it for spice. I'll put it down here for you. But there you go. Those were my recent reads as of late. I am on to reading for another recommendation video for you guys, and I'm really excited about that. I also have a couple arcs coming my way, which again, I am very excited about. So I hope to bring all that to you very soon. But let me know what you've been reading. Are you in a particular genre? Are you in a particular trope, a particular era? What have you? I will catch you on my next video, but until next time, happy reading. Bye.
You draw me in slowly, brown eyes staring